I know the owner. I know the lady looking after that boat. If you want me to call her.
Actually, we want to talk to you.
Okay.
We didn't know you were on there.
What'd I do?
I got in trouble.
Oh, good.
How deep is it over there, you know?
I wouldn't trust it. I'm here shallow to get away from. It's the only safe spot from my little boat.
Alright, I'll just swim it.
But you can probably get right here. I just wouldn't. Huh? I'm doing a YouTube channel. I'm traveling on it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just actually been waiting for the season. You know, the weather's bad this month.
Right?
But as soon as I get a 5-day weather window, I'm out of here.
What do you have for power?
Oh, I had 150 watts of solar.
Okay. Is it like an outboard or what? It's like a tiller?
Yeah, I got an outboard, and I also got mast and sails. This has got a telescoping mast and boom. I got a YouTube channel. You can check it out. I show how I built it. Captain Kedger.
Captain Kedger?
Yep.
How do you spell that?
Kedger.
Alright, we'll check it out.
I'm actually live broadcasting right now.
Oh, are you?
But you guys have been. You know what? You're from Martin County, Stewart area.
Yep.
Okay. Well, most of the cops there have been pretty cool to me so far.
We don't try to harass anybody.
There was one guy, but I didn't post the video because it was kind of, you know, I'm not a cop blocker channel. I'm a nature sailing guy. You know, like I don't want to do that stupid shit.
Ultimate goal to go to?
Well, it's just to spend a year traveling, showing videos of Florida waterways, and
Start from?
I do like fire safety and, you know, like don't litter in the water, you know, like just getting along with nature type stuff. But I put it in Lake Monroe in Sanford. I've been over 600 miles. I got a canoe that I rigged with 2x4 outriggers and water jugs and a makeshift mast. I sailed it 200 miles a few years ago from and yeah, I've been sailing around Florida, and I had a boat like that that was my first boat. It was the exact same model as that boat, and I did like all over I started in Tampa in that boat. I've been sailing around Florida for like 30 years. I just started doing it in a canoe when I lost everything during COVID. You know, I lost my big boat, and was like, you know what? I rigged that canoe and said, I'm still doing sailing. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I got throwables, life vest, fire extinguisher, night lights. I've got a VHF radio. I don't use it, but yeah, better to have it and not need it than buy it. Yeah, okay. The guy is. There's a lady looking after it. This guy just pulled in to get out of the storm. He went up to Indiantown for a little bit. He's got her looking after it, and I'm looking after him while I'm here. I'm kind of helping her out fix stuff too, but yeah. Of course. Okay. All right. Y'all be safe out there. Oh, you know to stay to the far side of those markers, right? But hug them. Okay. Oh. Oh. They seem pretty friendly. Just checking out what I'm about, and I totally understand that. Like, there's people with a lot of money invested in their properties around here, and they're, you know, they kind of want to know. They kind of want to know what's going on. You know, I mean, ask, but I don't know. They sent their guys with their guns feel a little safer coming to ask a stranger what they're doing. I need to get, you know what I really want to do is put a canvas cover on this that's waterproofed, so I don't have to use these like ghetto tarps, and have my YouTube channel logo across the side. And same with the sails. I want to put the logo on it so that people can just look at it and go, oh, let's look him up and see what he's about. And then instead of wondering and calling the cops and getting all worried, they can just go on YouTube and, oh, okay, this is what he seems like, he's all right. You know, after you listen to someone talk, you get a better idea of what they're doing with themselves and why they're there. And you know, you may have all your questions answered just by looking at my videos. But yeah, I don't understand, why are they over there knocking on her boat looking for me? But I'm glad I was here. You know, I'm not out in the canoe and missed them coming, and you know, who knows? I'd rather just answer, you know, when they're being polite. I don't appreciate when they get crappy with you, but these guys have been, you know, I haven't seen, the water cops around here have been fairly cordial as far as I can see lately. Like I said, I just had that one guy that, you know, doesn't really know about maritime law, and he, you know, he's like foot traffic. Hi, Zuni. Thanks for tuning in. I just went live because I heard the sheriff outside, and I just, you know, I've had some bad experiences with some of those guys in my life, so I just wanted to protect myself. So I put the video on, and whoever logged in, whoever checked on me, you know, I appreciate you looking in. It's amazing how differently cops tend to act when you say, hey, I'm live streaming right now. Like, but these guys, I don't think they were like that. I don't think they came to be jerks. Like, he was telling me, you're not in any trouble. I'm just wondering, you know, like checking to see that you're okay. Which, you know, I don't necessarily believe that they're really too concerned with my well-being, but maybe they are. You know, they got somebody got curious and called them and worried about who I am and what I might be about, and they responded because they have to respond. And it's really nice to see when you get swatted and the cops don't bully you for whoever called, you know. Like, it's a refreshing thing to see them come out and just be like, oh, no problem, we just want to, you know, just, you know what I mean, just touch bases with you. But they didn't ask me a bunch of intrusive questions. They're just, you know, I mean, I guess I probably answered most of them before they asked them. Just telling them, hey, I'm looking for the next weather window to leave. You know, it's that tells them, hey, I'm not stranded. I'm not derelict. However, you know, this vessel may look like a jury-rigged jalopy, but that's intentional. Yeah. it actually cost me more money to build this little jury-rigged jalopy than it would have been to just buy a boat ready to sail and sail out. Like the one right around the corner from me is in that price range, where actually I got a boat of that model cheaper than it cost me to build this. About $6,000 cheaper. So it's not, it's just, anyway, the point being, they see, this is a very unique vessel. It stands out because it's the only one of its kind on the planet. And, you know, I had the city call me one day, and he was saying, you know, just letting you know that there's people looking out, and you know, they see your boat, and they called us. He was saying there's people, you know, watching you where you're at. And I'm like, bro, there's people watching me. I just laughed, and I was like, I have the only boat of its kind in the world. And people watch it everywhere I go. This is not a getaway vessel. This is not a discreet disappear. I mean, sure, in a zombie apocalypse, it'd be a pretty cool vessel, but it's not the kind of boat you can just disappear in. It's not a getaway boat. It's not fast. It's not, you know, it's not blend in. It doesn't blend in. It stands out. So I'm like, you know, hey, this boat's being looked at and watched everywhere it goes. That's kind of why I built it that way. Oh, here comes the rain. They just even went just in time. Oh, I'm gonna have to pull some tarps here. All right, I gotta get ready for this rain. Y'all have a good one. Captain Kedger signing out, and whew, thank God that was just copacetic. Guys with the badges, good job. I got disconnected there for a minute. I got, well, not really a storm of rain. Tarp up. Yeah. In case you're wondering what that is, I'm allergic to the deodorant I used last week. I have sensitive skin. And, you know, I really don't want to go around. Although I have been a woman's secret a few times. I don't like being that. I'm just kidding. I really don't like being that guy. But, sure, yeah, I get the tarp set up just in time for it to stop raining. Anyway, yeah, I just told him, hey, I just need a 5-day weather window and I'm out of here. You know, you're not required to answer all these questions about where are you from, where are you going, and that's part of your Fourth and Fifth Amendment right to privacy, your right to move freely about the country without unreasonable searches and seizures of your personal effects. And, you know, these are rights encoded into the law, in the supreme law of this country, and there's no state, local, or city laws that are allowed legally to supersede that. Yeah, I could sit here and try to stand on my rights and be like, I don't have to answer your questions. And you don't have to be even crappy with them. You can just say something like, I'm not required to aid you in your investigation. I won't impede it. And I'll answer any questions I'm legally obligated to answer. But you're not legally obligated to answer. I do it because it just makes things simpler. It's just, look, they're here because somebody's worried about what am I doing. And, you know, just put their minds at ease. It's just much easier than trying to butt heads with them. I honestly believe that I could have got away with saying, I don't want to answer questions. Those guys. But you don't know who you're dealing with. And like I told them, I'm not here to I'm not the Lackluster channel. This is not cop blockers. I do not believe in defunding the police. Okay, I'm just gonna, I don't like to get into politics, but because this happened, and it does happen quite often, this is a sailing subject. If you're gonna be sailing in Florida and cruising long distance, long term on your boat, or especially living on it permanently, you are gonna encounter some of that. It's just unavoidable. And when you do, it's kind of good to know what your options are and what you're looking at, what the rules are about it, and what you're legally obligated to do. Really, with the new Florida Freedom of Boating Act, I'm not legally obligated to even do near as much as I just did. Like, Ron DeSantis just passed a law that makes it illegal for them to do those random stops and, you know, check you for your safety gear and all that. And, you know, like, unless they see you actually doing something wrong, they're not supposed to stop you. And they're not supposed to board boats and just search without cause. Because people live on their boats. That's their private property and their things, and that's a violation of their privacy. That's like, you know, their home. That's like walking up to your door and demanding entrance to come inspect your home to make sure you got smoke detectors in your living room. You know, that's not a thing. And even the fire inspector can't just do random searches of your house to make sure your smoke detector works. You know, but I mean, they have inspectors that come in when you do any construction. You know, they'll have a city inspector coming or what have you, but they're not supposed to just randomly demand entrance to your house. Same thing with a boat, if you know, whether you're living on it or not. But there again, I'm just trying to put people's mind at ease. I let them know that I'm being safe. I've got experience. I've done this for years. I'm not just some random dude that just popped up in a hokey might sink boat. I'm a guy that's got, you know, give or take 30 years of experience sailing around Florida, and you know, I kind of know the ropes. I know what I'm up against. You know, I know that'll happen. So that kind of puts their mind at ease, where they're like, okay, you know, he came into this little safe cove to get out of the storm. That's obvious. You know, about the safest place in this county that I could be anchored in is where I'm at right now. And you know, by saying I'm telling them about my experience from the past, it lets them know, you know, I've even got a VHF radio. Like, I can call with no phone service. I can call Coast Guard anywhere from here to Miami, almost. Like, my radio, it's a handheld radio, and I could hear radios in Miami from Fort Lauderdale, and not even using the power booster. So it's a powerful radio. I was surprised at how far it reaches, actually, without even the external antenna attachment or something, you know. But the thing is, it floats, it glows in the dark. It's like, it's really powerful. It's got external connection where you can run an antenna all the way up your mast and connect to it and get really good reception. It's made by West Marine, so it's a quality made unit. When you tell them things like that, they're like, oh, he not only has all his legal requirements, he's also got a couple extras, you know. Like the guy has gone overboard with safety. That puts their mind at ease. Okay, well, he's being safe as he can be, you know, with what he's doing. And that's that. There's really not a lot more to get into at that point. You did ask where I'm from, and I don't mind. I'm not obligated by law to answer that, where I'm from or where I'm going, but I do because, you know, I think it's a proud accomplishment. I've done over 600 miles in this thing, you know. Like, I started out in Central Florida and all the way up to Lake Okeechobee. And see, also that tells them, well, his boats must be performing at least up to, you know, and got him this far. It has to be at least good enough to do 600 miles. He'll probably be okay, you know, because they see a vessel and they don't know, like, if you even have any knowledge of boating when you built it, you know, like, much less structural engineering and you know, water displacement, flotation. There's a lot involved in designing and building a boat that it's almost as involved as building an airplane. Not quite. You airplane mechanics, don't freak out on me and crucify me. I'm saying not quite, but almost. It can be. Some of them are even more complicated than some airplanes, some boats. So, and that's, they kind of operate on the same principle. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. I don't know why. I guess trying to make it worth having this video. Nothing happened. And that, my friends, when you get a situation that's building and you're looking out there and nothing happens, that's what you're looking for, okay? When people say, "Ooh, I want to go on an adventure with you," I'm like, God, no. I'm done. I don't want to adventure. I've done adventure. It's not an adventure until something goes wrong. Like, yeah, no, I could, when you're sailing, hopefully, if everything goes well, it consists of some long, drawn-out periods of sheer boredom. But if you're realistic, it's those times when those long, drawn-out moments of sheer boredom get interrupted by a few moments of sheer terror. And then that could be followed by a few hours, days, weeks, months, or even years of doing repairs while you work up the courage to go out and do it again. And that's I didn't come up with that on my own. Somebody else said another version of that to me years ago, and it just stuck with me. It was like, man, that is the best description of sail cruising I have ever heard. Because it's perfect. It says it all. But so when something like that happens and nothing happens, it's like, well, that's a good day. Now let me get back to fixing my tarps and make some lunch, because I got a pound of bacon in here that's not in the cooler that needs to be cooked, and man, I'm ready to eat. I'm starving. So y'all have a good day. Don't know what to call this video. I guess, man, what can I title this video? Nothing happened? or Martin County water cops drop in for a visit. I don't know, man. They seemed pretty cool. I wish all cops were that easy to deal with. They got the information they needed and went on their merry. They didn't even come up all the way to my boat. It was like, how deep is that over there? Not very. You know, it's deep right in front of me. It's deep enough for them to come close enough to talk without yelling. But yeah. Feel a little bit better about Martin County now. I did have that one run-in with that one guy, and he was pretty rude and nasty, and but like I said, I'm not posting that video because that's not what I'm about. I'm not here to get people fired or you know, like he I know his commanding officer said he was going to have words with him. They actually told me they were going to have a meeting about it. So I thought, well, that's pretty cool. His senior officer was pretty kind with me. So, yeah, that's common. I don't get too worked up about that stuff if I don't need to. I'm not for defunding the police. Okay, the world has already tried anarchy, where it, you know, as bad as crime is in this world, in this country even, to this day, I can't imagine how bad it would be if there were no cops around. Like, you wouldn't be able to walk outside your door or go to the corner store without an army to escort you, because there would be roving gangs of marauders everywhere. You know, it would be like a zombie apocalypse movie without the zombies. No, I mean, every country in the world agrees that we need a set of laws. And we just argue over what laws exactly and how they should be enforced. But we all, for the most part, except the idiots out there, we all agree that we do need some laws. We need ground rules for everybody to go by. The struggle is just making some that are fair to everyone, and where you still have freedom and rights. You know, there's this balance we try to go for, and the founding fathers of this country, I believe that's what they were going for, was, you know, we need to have rules, but we also need to set some boundaries on the rule enforcers to protect the citizens from them. And that's what the first 10 amendments of the Constitution are for. They were created to protect the people from their government, from oppression and tyranny. So it's really important that we look at those 10 rules that they call the Bill of Rights. It's really important that we know them, and teach them to the younger generation. They need to know that stuff, because if we let that slip, we quickly... The Bill of Rights is the only thing on earth that, to me, it's the most important document on the planet, because it's the only thing on earth that makes us any different than any fascist country in the world. It's not our representative democracy that's not really representing us. It's not, you know, communism doesn't get it. You know, like, it's not about whether it's democratic or communist or republic or totalitarian, or like it could be a king, like, but even in a democracy, it can quickly become very fascist and very oppressive. It can become a dystopian world really quick without that Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is really the envy of the rest of the world. The Bill of Rights is why people all over the world want to come to America. That and opportunity. And you take that away, you start letting that slip, and then we're very quickly will descend into a dystopian hell, a hell that no one will want to live in. So anyway, I don't want to get into the confrontations I've had where I did have to stand up for that Bill of Rights, or I felt I needed to, but there's been a few times. I was more stressed with visits from guys in badges than visits from a hurricane. So anyway, yeah, it's refreshing to see over here in Martin County are water guys, and most of the guys on land have just been cordial to me. I've talked to a few of them just passing here and there, and don't get me wrong, they're out, they're eyeing things, they are on top of things, they respond pretty quickly to calls around here, and suspicious persons, they go check it out real quick. But they're not being Nazis about it. They go check it out. They don't go bending you over a barrel and and sodomizing you with their billy club. They're just coming out and trying to see what's going on and make sure the neighborhood's safe. I mean, that's the impression I get with the most of them, and those two guys especially. Like, they seemed very good. So water cops, Martin County, you get an A for professionalism and courtesy in spite of everything. Like, if I was grading experiences with cops, I'm not going to get into this kind of thing. This is not my routine. In fact, like I said, when I had the bad experiences with them, I recorded. I didn't go live. I recorded it for my own safety. But as soon as everything was resolved, the senior officer came out and resolved everything. He just asked me a couple questions. Was like, you know what? Leave him alone. Let's go. You're not trespassed. There's nothing here. You're not getting a ticket. Nothing. And the cop that was trying to threaten to take me to jail and all kinds of craziness was just like, shut him down. He was just ordered to leave it alone. So that squashed that. And I said, well, okay. And I told the guy, I said, well, now that we're being cordial, I'm going to go ahead and answer some of your questions. And I did. And then I told him, I says, and in fact, this video, I'm not going to post it. And I'm not trying to be that guy. There's guys out there doing that, and I'm not knocking them either. Like, I believe it's important that there's some people out there who will stand up for our rights and go around and audit the cops. It's important. But on the other hand, I've seen a lot of people going out there, people on YouTube, a lot of these what do you call content creators are go out there and they'll provoke a cop. They'll sit there and dog him and mouth off to him and harass him and hound him, and then he finally gets mad. Like, anybody in any job doing anywhere, even a priest, if you hound him enough, he will get mad and maybe even haul off and punch you in the face. Like, even a priest can lose it. And I'm not the guy that's going to go capitalize on somebody getting upset because I provoked it just so I can get some views, and there's some people out there doing that, and they're getting some people. It's not helping things. That makes things worse. those guys really disgust me, because the ones that are doing it professionally, auditing the police, there are some out there that are actually being really professional about it, and they just stand to their rights. They stand the line. They toe that line between civil rights and police authority. That is an important thing to do, but that's not what I'm about. Like, there's other people doing that, and that's their thing. I'm the freaking sailing on a budget is my thing. Living with nature is my thing. Water, fire safety. What have you. I just don't want it to be about politics. I could go on for hours about religion and politics, and I'd probably get banned and maybe even get the Charlie Kirk treatment or something. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not into all that. I'm not trying to be that. I just want to still can. That's good coffee. No, I didn't go pay $12 at Starbucks for it. This is just the cup they had at the gas station where I get coffee. It's not even Starbucks coffee. But good coffee. I get it free. I go to that store in the mornings and they give me free coffee. So what else can I say about this? It's kind of odd that I've got Martin County Sheriff coming to check me out while I'm in this county. I'm actually not in Stewart right now. I'm in, I think, what is called Palm City over here. But whatever. It's kind of like I think there's like 3 different cities in this one bay, so they probably overlap their jurisdictions quite a bit. So that's not too out of the ordinary. Zuni said hi. I'm getting viewers I didn't know I had. Right? Okay, well, I think that's enough yammering. It's like 40 minutes of random ramblings, and I'm gonna get back to making my lunch. Y'all have a good day. Mark me safe from Hurricane Imelda. It is from me now. Last 2 days we got some pretty strong sustained winds here. I mean, I don't want to say pretty strong. Back in this cove, it was only like 20 miles an hour. But right offshore and just outside of here was pretty rough. Even this morning, crossing the bay to go, I went into town this morning for some groceries, and I got a little water in the boat crossing the river out there in the open. So going across and coming back was a little rough, but just but not too bad. All things considered, I dodged a bullet. I got lucky. So I want to kind of thank Hurricane Imelda for being there, because there was a Category 5 hurricane right on the other side of it, and had Imelda not been there, it probably would have been a direct hit on me. Imelda was just enough to kind of like shield us here from that big storm over there. Excuse me. And then the big storm hits the Carolinas and starts rotating up and east. But it didn't hit, it grazed the Carolinas with the outer bands, and it kind of pulls it around and up. And also the temperature difference. I'm live again. I keep losing reception. I'm right on of cell phone reception. If I go back to the creek any further, okay, that's enough of that off and on. I've been cutting off and on, so